What's a fantastic game of this? Okay, welcome back to another match and manga series where we talk about BL anime, play Marvel Rivals, online ranked matches, Demon Slayer, Newcomer Chronicles 2, online match, all that. Listen, okay, we'll come to the end of the BL, these two BL series, Tadaima Oga Erie and Twilight Out of Focus. Today we'll be discussing episode 8 through 12, ending Twilight Out of Focus. Now, I just want to go over some things. First of all, I just want to say this has been an amazing journey. I believe I first started this BL series. I started it around maybe like August 21st, 2020. Yeah, so I started this around in like August. So before I get into these episode breakdowns and before I get into the season one, finale review of Twilight Out of Focus, I just want to say thank you for being with me in this community. Finally finding people who want to talk about anime. Talk about BLs, talk about slice of life, and just really be immersed in this world. I used to be considered weird for always wanting to watch anime or wanting to watch something that's not considered the norm. So I'm extremely grateful for this community that, we're building. I'm currently at like 70 followers on YouTube. I think I'm like 4 to 6 followers away from being able to go live here on TikTok. So I'm just extremely grateful. You don't understand what it means to me to finally be seen. So let's get into this episode breakdown and then a season one finale of Twilight Out of Focus. We're starting with episode 8. Now, episode 8 introduces this new couple because, at first we met Mao and Hisashi, Jin and Ichikawa. And now we're learning about Rei and Shion. And I should have known that Rei was going to be like a main boyfriend character since he had so much input in the Ichikawa story. Jin and Ichikawa, that is. And I want to say also, like, it's kind of weird, like, watching the series and seeing Mao and, like, the different storylines. But now that I think about it, I didn't see Hisashi that much inside of the other storylines that kind of parallel. And I also want to say, before I break down this episode, I want to say that I, throughout watching this show, like, I can see pieces of myself in the queer, like, life, like, within all these characters. Like, some of their flaws, insecurities, the way they love, their attachment styles. I can see a little bit of myself in Jin, Ichikawa, Mao, Hisashi, Rei, and Shion. But basically, episode 8 is about Shion. Like, they introduce him, and they basically, like, Shion's like an over the top type character. Very, like, stereotypical, gay. He just wants to find a boyfriend. No matter what he do, he just want to find a boyfriend. Ever since he left, I guess, like, middle school, he was telling his friends that he had a boyfriend, and they carried on to high school, and he never showed up with his boyfriend. So basically, Shion was joining all these clubs, and he was talented, joining all these clubs just to find a boyfriend. And he was unsuccessful at all of them, and he had to realize that they were just using him for his talents. And I can definitely, like, relate to that because, like, I'm a big guy, and I feel like I wasn't gonna say, like, during middle school or high school I was trying to join the sports teams or whatnot to be with the guys. But that's just the scenario of this, show. That coaches and students and people will use you for your talents not knowing that you're there for another reason. Or to look at you as an individual. So yeah, finally Shion stumbles upon the film club. Because basically none of the other clubs were working. So he was like, I'm just going to try the film club. It seemed like it's a whole bunch of gay people in here. I'm going to find me a man. As soon as Shion introduces himself into the rest of the film club, the third year Rei is like, honey, you ain't going to never find a man in here. Ever. And you really seem pathetic. Anyway, just hurling like a whole bunch of insults out to Shion. But we can see that this is Rei's character, especially since we see him speak to Ichikawa about Jin and their relationship. We can tell that he's like mysterious in a way, can seem like stuck up, but he seems like he has a lot of trauma, Very sneaky, hidden, and rude as fuck. But he's always busy, and he shoots music videos, I believe they said. And he's always been passionate about wanting to be a part of anything dealing with cameras, scripts, and all those type of things. So basically, Shion holds up a grudge against, Rei because Rei attacked him just by introducing himself, saying that he wanted to find a boyfriend inside the club. So basically, Shion starts crying. He's like very emotional, and they basically like confront each other. And Shion was like, "Why would you ever say that to me about like I'm not supposed to find a boyfriend? Especially you supposed to be like the senpai or whatever. Why would you say that to me?" Long story short, Rei ended up kissing him because he said, honey, they'll make you stop crying, so I'm going to kiss you, make you feel better. And I just think they're both, like, in their own worlds trying to come together, if that makes sense. Like, Shion is all about himself, like, always inside his head, never feeling good enough. And Rei is just so detached from reality or like people to the fact or point where he feels like he doesn't need nobody, which he technically doesn't. But he never built like sustaining and long, interesting relationships. Or people don't stay around long enough to understand the way that he is and the way that he loves. Because even Rei's friends, like his friend group, they was like, oh yeah, I remember the last time that he said this to a dude and they just instantly dropped him. Because he can be harsh or blunt, which I prefer in relationships. I hate people that beat around. I ain't gonna say I hate. I really dislike people that beat around the bush instead of just addressing the elephant in the room, for a lack of better words. One thing I really adore about Twilight Out of Focus is that they can tell the story from both perspectives in one episode. Like how they told about Jin. Now, I don't think they did that for Mao and Hisashi, unless I just don't remember the earlier episodes. But definitely for Jin and Ichikawa, they were both talking about how they felt on both sides of the spectrum. And they did it again for Shion and Rei. So basically, Shion and Rei ended up finding out that they're a perfect match for each other, and Shion is basically telling Rei that he's never going to break up with him. I think Rei was definitely like a lesson for Shion, because I think Shion's, like, instead of people always looking for someone, the better way to say this is like people who like are really insecure in their relationships and like instead of being clingy, I think this takes a lot of development for an individual like yourself, like self-fulfillment. Like if you're real clingy with your partner, like having insecurity about somebody cheating, and that's what they had, both of them. Rei and Shion, they showed the differences in how they both dealt with jealousy. And Rei, and I can find like Shion. I can find so much of myself in Shion. And now that I've grown and matured a little bit, I kind of feel Rei's perspective when it comes to like dating. Because they did start dating and they accept each other as boyfriends and all that stuff. But going back to the point that I'm making, Shion wanted to be around Rei so much, always wanted to be together, because I feel like it's society pressures as well. Like society teaches us in relationships, like if you're in love with each other, you need to be together all the time. You need to be washing clothes, folding clothes. You need to be doing whatever society standards is as far as in being in a relationship, but always being together. You never have time for yourself or your passion. And I felt where Rei was coming from. Like, you don't always have to be around me. We don't always have to be in each other's space. You know, like we can love on each other from a distance. We both still have our own lives. And that could be a harsh reality. It's not saying I reject you. It's just saying that we have our own lives. You should have your own friends. I have my own friends. And all our friend groups and stuff don't mix. We're still two individual people. We just chose each other to come together, to be better, to be a union. But we still have our own lives. I feel like sometimes relationships can break up because they try to mend too much of their individual lives into one. Because it's going to naturally happen. Just let it naturally be what it is. So for episode 11 and 12, basically this was just a closing of like all the relationships. One of my favorite relationships is Ichikawa and Jin. Even though my favorite relationship out of the whole show is Hisashi and Mao, because I believe they focused on that and then that's the one that they brought us in with. But I think them showing the detail of Jin graduating and Ichikawa now being the president of the film club and them still like being together, I think is just so amazing. Like that's all I really wanted to see, especially at Tadama and Okairi. I just wanted to see the future of what we already discovered within the season 1. I think season 12, even though this whole show is kind of like still frame shots, for like the emotions, like the animation, the art style, I really love that. I think the colors and stuff kind of showed up for the still animation. But episode 12 was just over the top, just overall beautiful colors. And it reinforces what we started at the beginning of the series, which was the 3 promises, right, that they made, that Hisashi and Mao made towards each other. So Jin and Ichikawa are still together. Shion and Rei are still together. Now, what I will say is I wish they would have gave us more backstory or more future on the other 2 characters. So I believe the new rules they set for Hisashi and Mao is they worked through their differences, said I love you, and that they want to live together once they graduated, which I thought was so cute. Overall, I give this series 10 out of 10. I love the color palette. I love the motivation and passion for the characters. I love that they introduced 3 different relationships and tied them all back into one thing. I love that they were able to show different facets of relationships within the queer diaspora. So yeah, Shantex again, that's my review of Twilight Out of Focus Season 1. I definitely think you should check it out. It's a great introductory BL. And I thank you so much for being along with me on this journey. Now it's time to get into some more stuff, like One Piece, My Hero Academia, the final season, Gachikuta, and much, much more. Make sure to say this video. Make sure to leave a yellow heart because we show love. Make sure to subscribe.